Alright boys, this one's gonna be a little different. We got a hot topic, so put down the party poppers and balloons for a sec. Did Zun use AI in Touhou 20? So when Touhou 20 came out this week, the community was loving it. You know, wow, Zun cooked with this one guys, he's done it again. New characters, new music, new art. Some folks noticed that the backgrounds and spell card art looked a little off. You know how an AI image has that clipping and smushing, especially on continuous textures and less well-defined pattern type images? Well, some of these backgrounds for spell cards, loading screens, the vibes were funky, you know? I personally didn't notice it, but a good few people did. And I guess it was enough for the rumour to start. As the game had only come out on non-Steam sites and we didn't have full confirmation yet, it was kind of just festering, you know? We didn't know if this was true yet. On a live streamed event last December, Zun, drunk as usual, had talked about using AI, specifically ChatGPT, and looking at the poster for that event, which featured Reimu on a pattern-filled background, fans noticed that if you look closely at the fractal patterns behind Reimu, they aren't consistent. Likely to have been done by Photoshop or Adobe Firefly. Zun talked about the reason they used Adobe Firefly being that it only draws from a library of stock images and images in the public domain, meaning it's just another source of stock image material. I've known about Zun using stock images for a while. It's kinda obvious, Zun liked to use stock images and edit them to make a neat background. Similar to how Homestuck took photos and twisted them into like cool worlds with like color shifting and stuff. Here's some examples from Touhou 8 of Zun using stock images. So that's been the case forever. It's super well documented that Zun has taken stuff from asset packs, reference books, Wikipedia, sometimes DeviantArt. I'm alright with that, you know? I follow this technique of taking stock images and editing them for a fun purpose. In my Sprite Split animation series. I think the difference here and the reason people started to get kind of sketch about this whole idea was when AI started getting involved. I'm gonna make it clear here that I'm not a supporter of AI art. When you start paying artists to do works of art with personality and style and get a machine to coldly generate something it thinks is creative based on millions of images fed into it, kinda loses any points with me, you know? A lukewarm take, maybe, sure. But I just gotta make it clear that what I talk about next, I'm conflicted on. I love Zun and everything he creates is like gold to me. The material he creates for these games is super special, and the world he's created intrigues me to no end. But that love really only applies to things he himself has created. Now his official stance on AI before this game was that it shouldn't be used as a creative tool, just one used for economy and efficiency. Meaning he uses it to locate images for his backgrounds quickly, and whether you think that validates him using AI, that's up to you. So now that Touhou 20 has been released on Steam, we have full confirmation via Steam's altered content disclaimer that yes, there is AI content in this game, with the wording being, some background textures include AI generated content. There is nothing being generated in real time by AI. Well, there you go. Zun used AI generated background textures in Touhou 20. As this is a pretty big, hotly debated topic online right now, I'm gonna keep discussion on the morality of Zun's decision here pretty light. But like I said, I personally am conflicted. Half of me is saying, yeah, it's a slippery slope, you know. You start generating only the background textures using AI, but 3 games down the line we got melty-faced purple-haired Reimu made with love by ChatGPT. The other half of me understands where Zun's coming from, but only so far as using AI to find stock images. And in the interest of time, as a game dev, why wouldn't you, right? It's also kind of messed up, and he hasn't needed to in the past, so it's debatable whether he should have or not. In terms of actual generated stuff, yeah, that could be the stock image directory he's pulling from containing AI generated stuff, but I think he had to have at least known that. So yeah, that's all we know. If there's anything I missed, let me know in the comments. I don't think this is the end of Touhou as we know it or anything dramatic, but I'm also not 100% sure that I'm okay with it. What do you fellas think? Best thing we can do right now is get a healthy discussion around it, and Zun might see. I'll leave a link to the thread I used for info for this video, and thanks for watching. Bit of a different one from me, but I thought we should talk about it with you guys, you know. Alright gamers, catch you next video. Bye bye. Love you. Bye. Bye.